Rayman Legends leaderboards are completely cooked. And I do not mean someone beat a world record by half a second. I mean people are finishing challenges in 0 frames, posting scores that look like their telephone numbers, and somehow being ranked first with a time that would take longer than human civilization has existed. The funniest part is that these are not all caused by one glitch. There are basically 4 separate methods of vandalizing the leaderboards, ranging from quietly stealing individual frames, to escaping the level, falling forever, and eventually confusing the game about what a number even means. So let us begin with the least ridiculous one. The pause glitch works on time challenges and is extremely simple. Every time you pause a game and then manually select continue, the final score loses 1 frame. You cannot just double tap the pause button. You specifically have to pause, move to continue, select it, resume the game, and repeat. Once removes 1 frame. Do it 30 times, you remove 30 frames. Do it 100 times, or I think that's impossible, and you can quietly turn an ordinary score into something that looks like a complete clown show. There's no dramatic out of bounds movement, no broken animation, and nothing obvious in the final run. It is basically leaderboard embezzlement. 1 microscopic frame stolen at a time until the player has somehow robbed the entire bank. And unlike other glitches, this one is not dependent on the current challenge rotation. It can be used whenever the relevant time challenge is available. But this is merely the handcrafted organic cheating method. The other glitches are industrial machinery. The oldest major leaderboard destroying glitch affected pit distance challenges. This was being abused years before the more ridiculous methods were discovered. Players would first activate what is usually called a Murfy glitch. Once the game is placed into that broken state, the character can effectively keep jumping upwards beyond the normal level boundaries. In a regular daily or weekly pit distance challenge, the player could rise all the way to the top of the screen, move into the correct position, hold right, and then simply fall underneath the level, and continue falling. The game still counted the distance, even though the player had abandoned the actual challenge approximately 3 geological eras ago. So instead of surviving the obstacles and earning a legitimate distance, somebody could leave Rayman falling beneath reality for however long they wanted, return later, and submit whatever score they felt like. That is why pit distance leaderboards were broken for years. None of these enormous scores were created with cheat engine or by typing a number into the game. The game itself was happily measuring one very long trip into the abyss. Then, people discovered how to break pit speed challenges as well. These are scores where somebody reached the required distance in 0.01 seconds, or even exactly 0 seconds. Again, this uses Murphy glitch. The player gets into an invalid position outside the normal challenge and reaches the required distance while the timer has either not started correctly or is effectively being bypassed. The exact result can depend on the generated pit layout, which is why you see several slightly different microscopic scores rather than everyone receiving the same 0. These scores are not someone performing a movement so perfectly that the human eye cannot comprehend it. They are completely objective while the clock is still sitting in a waiting room. But both the infinite fall method and the 0-second pit method have an important restriction. They only work on a regular daily or weekly challenge, and they need access to suitable extreme challenges to preserve the Murphy glitch state. If both the daily and weekly extreme challenges are Murphy challenges, the setup is ruined. Entering a Murphy extreme challenge destroys the Murphy glitch, so when both extreme slots contain Murphy, there is no clean extreme challenge available to use. In other words, a double Murphy rotation temporarily disables most of the nuclear arsenal. The pause glitch still works, but the pit exploits are unavailable until the challenges rotate. And then we reach the newest and most spectacular method, training room glitch, also commonly associated with the Puma glitch. Hidden inside Rayman Legends is a training room that allows challenge settings to be changed. How players reach it depends on the platform. Different console versions have different loading behavior, lobby geometry, and transition glitches. On some versions, players use a broken Murphy state to climb far above the challenge lobby until they reach the hidden room. Other versions use challenge painting or transition glitches to redirect the player there. The exact entrance changes by console, but reaching the training room is only the beginning. The important part is carrying the training room menu state into an online challenge. Once the menu is transferred correctly, the player can load one type of challenge and then change what type of score the game believes it's recording. For example, the online leaderboard may be expecting a fastest time, but the player changes the active challenge into a distance challenge. Then they submit a distance value into the leaderboard that expects time, so the server receives the wrong species or number. A value such as 30 meters can sometimes be displayed like 30 seconds. Larger distances create increasingly enormous time displays. But, internally, the corrupted score is treated as better than every legitimate positive time, which is why a score that visually looks catastrophically slow can still appear in first place. The player did not generally take 40 trillion years to finish the challenge. They submitted a distance score and the server accepted it as time. This general score type corruption can also create impossible results on other challenge types, including LUN-based leaderboards. And just like pit glitches, this training room exploit only affects the regular daily and weekly challenges, not the daily extreme or weekly extreme boards themselves. It also needs a usable non-Murphy extreme challenge during setup, so once again, double Murpy blocks it. That leaves us with 4 different levels of leaderboard destruction. The pause glitch quietly removes 1 frame every time the player pauses and selects continue. The original Murphy exploit allows players to leave pit distance challenges and fall forever beneath the map. The pit timer exploit produces scores as low as 0 seconds by completing the objective before the timer functions normally. And a training room glitch allows one type of score to be submitted to an entirely different leaderboard, creating gigantic impossible numbers that somehow rank first. So when you open Rayman Legends and see someone complete a challenge in 0 seconds, or see a number large enough to qualify as a national debt sitting in first place, they are not simply very talented. The leaderboard has lost custody of mathematics. And unless Ubisoft suddenly remember this game exists, the only thing occasionally protecting legitimate scores is a random appearance of 2 Murphy extreme challenges at once. Rayman Legends' competitive integrity is now determined by the weekly painting rotation, a truly magnificent system.